All right, hey everybody, we're back with a very interesting news article here. This is kind of, I found this and I thought it was amazing, okay? Here's the author right here. You can type this in and find it for yourself by typing in the author and any of these keywords. Right here will get you right to the article. Don't forget I post a new article or a new video every single day, sometimes twice or three times a day, and hit the subscribe button, and there is great stuff in the description below for you. So, but let's dive into this. Where did the 4Runner come from? How did it find it? Here, it says right here, the 4Runner traces its roots back to a long-forgotten camper. It goes further than this, though. The progression of this is pretty interesting. So let's dive into it here. Today, the 4Runner is a key part of the automaker's American lineup. Toyota sells over 100,000 units every year, with its chunky family hauler as one of the most recognizable SUV nameplates out there. The question is, where did it come from? The 4Runner is not a Land Cruiser. The nameplate is historic, has a history running all the way back to the 1950s for the Land Cruiser. Instead, the 4Runner split off an existing model and forged its own path, much in the same way that Fraser spun off from Cheers, achieved new levels of greatness all on its own. Okay, it's pretty interesting. The 4Runner actually spawned from a line of oddball campers in the late 70s. Here's how it all worked. And it's interesting. Wait till you see some of the statistics on this thing. It's pretty cool. Jumping back in the late 70s, America was at war, fuel was expensive, domestic automakers were struggling, yet none of those things really had much to do with the development of the 4Runner. Toyota was chipping away, doing its own thing, finding a steady stream of customers for its long bed pickup truck. Okay, long bed pickup truck. Imagine this thing that you're seeing here, this Chinook, without a camper top on it. Okay, a long bed pickup truck. One of those customers happened to be Chinook, an RV manufacturer that saw an opportunity to do good things with the Toyota long bed pickup truck platform. So what they did is Toyota and Chinook got into bed in 1973, 1 year before I was born. That's pretty crazy. 51 years ago, developing a smaller, cheaper alternative to a traditional American motorhome. The camper featured a pop-up fiberglass shell on the rear of the Toyota pickup, in its place where in the place of the usual bed. Meanwhile, the cabin had a small rear wall removed to allow occupants to easily move between the cabin and the camper. Okay, here it is right here. Okay, and so your back wall would have been removed so you could literally walk right through this thing. Pretty cool. Pretty brilliant here, actually, when you look at this thing. Pretty awesome. And here, just interesting, you can see that this one sold from on Bring a Trailer, which is a website for selling cars. This one sold for $16,750 in 2023. Look how cool that thing is, especially for being 51 years old. And like I said, there's no wall, you're no back wall of that cab. You could walk right in and out of this thing, front of driver's seat right into it. Pretty brilliant system, pretty great thing. These builds proved popular, with many of used examples still in existence today. Toyota pickups were a reliable base for the vehicle to roam in. After all, the walk-through design that put an open, occupiable area behind the front seats was well received. A more formalized version came along in 1981, is known as the Toyota Trekker. The project came about when Wisconsin Toyota dealer Jack Safaro wanted something to replace a Land Cruiser FJ40, which had been discontinued in the United States market. Think about that. How when somebody wants something bad enough, look at how Ineos started. Okay, because they got rid of the Land Rover Defender was gone and no longer being made. So Ineos decided they're going to make their own. Pretty interesting. Well, here's a guy that did the same thing. His idea was to convert the Hilux into a simple SUV. Here it is right here. This is a Trekker. Okay, this is a Toyota Trekker. Now, it's basically very similar to this in the fact that it has a pass-through. It is not a pickup with a bed on the back or with a cap on the back. Okay, built in partnership with Winnebago. It was based on a short wheelbase pickup truck rather than a long. And previewed the style of the 4Runner to come. Winnebago received the pickup trucks built in Japan from Toyota, which were shipped as a cab chassis form to avoid the dreaded chicken tax, meaning they didn't even have a bed on them. It was just the two frame rails back there, okay, basically. You see a lot of trucks like that at fleet dealers and stuff where you can put whatever toolboxes you want on the back end, but that's called a cab chassis, and that's how they bought these, okay. Winnebago bought them as a cab chassis with no bed on it, and then the rear cab wall was removed, and the back of the truck fitted for a fiberglass rear body with a folding rear seat inside. There was a hatch for rear access, but no tailgate. Okay, pretty interesting. It was a Toyota Trekker. The model was positively reviewed in Trucking Magazine in November 1981 issue. The Trekker immediately drew comparison to the contemporary Ford Bronco and Chevy Trailblazer. Trucking credited Winnebago's fine influence, noting the full carpeting throughout, folding seats, and sliding rear windows. Okay, pretty brilliant. Now, here it is right here. Okay, this was it. This was the Trekker that you can see here. Let's look at these specs on this thing. And we got some interesting ones in here. 4-cylinder engine, 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine, okay, 129 foot-pounds of torque. Horsepower was in the 49 states, it was 100 horsepower, California 96. Remember, we're going back into 81. Okay, this is an 81, still had that BS going on with California. But it was 100 horsepower, 121 foot-pounds of torque. The magical 102.2 wheelbase that they're so keen on. Now, something that I find very interesting in here, look at how Toyota back then, or how this Winnebago did the ground clearance. First of all, they noted the ground clearance in the front is 7.9 ground, or see that? Ground front 7.9, differential system to ground rear 7.9, and look at minimum running ground clearance 11.7. Even on this little thing right here with these probably 30-inch tires, 11.7 inches of ground clearance. You know, Toyota and many others use running ground clearance now. That's how the third gen Tacoma went from being a true 9.3 or 9.4 inches of ground clearance or whatever it was to now the new Toyota, the 2024, claiming 11 inches of ground clearance, is because now for 2024 they are claiming running ground clearance. Well, here's a little Toyota Trekker with little baby tires, and somehow it got 11.7 inches of ground clearance. Interesting. 13.7 gallon fuel tank in this thing. Pretty neat is what it is. Pretty cool. So then what happened there? The Trekker was rated at 22 miles per gallon too. Think about that. It's pretty awesome. Okay, they did that. There was only around 1,200 Trekkers were built, according to Toyota Off-Road. Most ended up in the U.S., some ended up in Canada and even Saudi Arabia. The numbers are small, but the positive reception caught Toyota's attention. It realized an SUV based on a truck platform could be a useful part of its lineup. Okay, here's a Toyota Trekker right there. That's pretty neat to see this thing. And if you want, I'll actually play this video for you at the end of this. So we can actually... No, actually, I lied. I'm not going to, because that'll probably be a copyright thing. So you're going to have to go to this article yourself. I told you how to do it, and you can see it. But then here it is. Entering production in late 83, a new model wearing the name 4Runner in the U.S. It was conceived by copywriter Robert Nathan as a catchy twist on a 4Runner, while also highlighting the vehicle's four-wheel drive system and all-terrain capability. Meanwhile, in Japan, Toyota named it the Hilux Surf as a nod to the fact that it was based on the N60 Toyota Hilux. Here it is, right there. The first 4Runner right there. Construction was not so different from the Trekker that came before. The 4Runner was a two-door, which was not so odd back in the 1980s. The rear cab panel was removed, while a roll bar was installed for added rigidity. The rear scored a removable fiberglass canopy, installed visual. I tell you, you were visual... an instant visual, the canopy, the instant visual tell that you were looking for in a 4Runner, regardless from the dashboard forward. The 4Runner was a Hilux, all Hilux. The majority of the changes were from the B-pillar back. Mechanically, virtually identical to the Hilux. Legendary 2.4, 22R engine, good for 96 horsepower, paired with the 5-speed manual. Hilux part-time four-wheel drive system, solid front axles with manual locking hubs. What a dream this little thing must have been. Before my time, not something that I got to ever really pay attention to or noticed or anything like that, but what a beautiful... Look at that. Just gorgeous. And there it is with the top off right there too. The first 4Runner, you could actually remove the top on it. That is pretty awesome. What a great look. You can see the name tag right there, 4Runner on it. Pretty sweet. And then here's the progression of it as it goes through the years. You can see, I mean, 3rd gen right there, 4th gen, and now we have the 5th gen, and then we got the upcoming 6th gen. It says, interestingly, the 6th gen model will return to its roots based on body-on-frame platform. That we knew this, okay. It still moved with times, introducing new hybrid systems, modern, blah, blah, blah. But pretty interesting, the whole way that this 4Runner vehicle has carried itself for the last technically 40-something years through the process. So I thought it was very enjoyable. I hope you found it enjoyable as well too. And as always, thanks for watching.